Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, October 11th, 2016. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. With an aim to improve public awareness about the history, culture and heritage of the Garifuna people, the Garifuna Heritage Foundation, the TGHF, on Monday evening, October 10th, kicked off proceedings of the 3rd International Garifuna Conference at the Methodist Church Hall. SVG-TV's Nikita Tony was at last evening's event and files this report.
Taking an inclusive approach towards the revival, recapture and retrieval of the Garifuna heritage in SVG, the Garifuna Foundation, TGHF, in collaboration with the local arm of the University of the West Indies, UWI Open Campus, officially opened the 3rd International Garifuna Conference, slated to begin today, Tuesday, October 11th, to Wednesday, October 12, 2016, at the Peace Memorial Hall. Under the theme, the Garifuna Diaspora, Euromi and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Retrieval, Inclusion and Reparations, the events will feature presentations from distinguished historians and researchers, as well as other open discussions based on the reparation movement and the need for more extensive research on the heritage of the Garifuna people. President of TGHF, David Daki Williams, noted that the conference forms part of the organization's mandate to promote the Garifuna history and heritage not only locally but also regionally and internationally, so as to benefit all Vincentians.
The trauma of slavery and colonialism have left us somewhat empty, with a psyche that favors a broken puzzle that we now have to try to put together. Every country that has made any sort of significant progress for themselves did so because, one, they respect, practice and revere their traditions, and secondly, they elevate their artists. And when artists take traditions and present them to you, people are proud.
Commending the efforts of TGHF in raising awareness and education of the Garifuna heritage, head of the UWI Open Campus, Deborah Dalrymple, expressed the institution's delight at being able to partner on such a necessary initiative.
Knowledge of the resistance, of the survival and the resilience of the Carinago may influence the worldview of Vincentians and help us to take pride in being Vincentians and better claim our cultural identity as a people. We look forward to hearing of the experience of presenters in expanding curricula through education and culture to include the Garifuna experience.
Noting that the Ministry of Tourism, Sports and Culture remains proud of the efforts of TGHF thus far in the revival of Garifuna traditions within the Vincentian Society, Dance Officer Maxine Brown solicited the support of the general public in making the event a success.
You continue to create the awakening, to educate the youth and by extension Vincentians on and about, yes, our rich Garifuna heritage. Because we need to teach our people who we are and where we came from. Let us live the Garifuna heritage and culture. Let us strengthen links. Let us forge networks. Let us claim our ancestral space. Let us know who we are and be proud of who we are.
Come home, Garifuna, come home. Come home, Garifuna, come home.
Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
Meanwhile, providing a look into the history of the movement towards reparations, keynote speaker at last evening's event, Dr. Gary Denny, stressed the point of providing proof of a crime committed against humanity when seeking reparations, noting that calls for reparations for British atrocities against the Garifuna did not begin in either the 20th or the 21st century. Dr. Denny outlined that the Garifuna were the victims of an unjust war and had the right to be compensated.
Conceivable to make a case for reparations without offering proof that several European nations had committed the greatest of crimes against humanity. In Africa, this would afford for European slave traders ideological justification for the wars of enslavement against Africans. In St. Vincent, and throughout the Caribbean, the idea of savage would provide ideological justification for the genocidal wars designed to exterminate the so-called savages. For although the large-scale expansion of slavery in the Caribbean was fueled by European greed, the expansion of slavery also played a critical role in the creation and maintenance of the race-based ideologies that denied the equal humanity of all people.
Denny further urged the gathering to remember that the thought of all human beings sharing a common humanity was uncommon for quite some time.
18th century and the early 19th century, no legal platform existed in England or elsewhere for the Garifuna to obtain legal standing in a court of law to seek redress to the injuries they had sustained. One suspects that from the perspective of the courts of law at the time, land dispossession, enslavement, war, and genocide committed by European governments against Africans and indigenous Caribbean peoples were legal and hence outside the scope of judicial review. One suspects as well that the courts would have rejected the Garifuna's legal standing to bring such a case, or the court's authority to even hear the case. Indeed, European doctrines of sovereign immunity at the time gave their governments virtually unlimited power to wage war against Africans and indigenous peoples beyond the authority of any court to intercede.
In commemoration of Mental Health Day, which was observed yesterday, Monday, October 10th, Vincentians have been reminded of the importance of taking care of their mental health. Health psychologist and wellness consultant at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, Dr. Joselle Miller, urged persons to keep their minds engaged at all times and not to take things for granted.
It is not about persons considering themselves as being crazy or thinking that they're going to be admitted to the mental health institution, but rather it is an understanding that as human beings we are all faced with different stressors at different times of our lives. We all experience some level of anxiety. We all have times when our moods feel a bit altered and we feel sad or depressed. But it is just for us to understand where we are and try to make ourselves as healthy in our thinking as possible.
Miller then took the opportunity to suggest different ways in which Vincentians can remain healthy psychologically.
Connect with others. It is important to develop and maintain strong relationships with people around you who will support and enrich your life. The quality of your personal relationships have a great effect on your well-being. So it is important that you put time into spending time with persons who is going to contribute to the happiness of your life. Many times people assume that it is okay to, be loners or to be by themselves, but we were not meant for isolation. Isolation in itself can breed its own emotional issues. Take time to enjoy your life. Find hobbies, activities, things that make you feel relaxed and happy. Go for a walk, go on the beach, go to the spa, whatever it takes for you to unwind after a busy schedule.
With a psychiatric hospital on stream at a cost of $4 million, Minister of Health and the Environment, Luke Brown, in his address to commemorate Mental Health Day, said there is a need for persons to be more caring towards persons with mental health issues. According to Minister Brown, just as persons learn basic first aid, they also need to know basic psychological aid, as knowing what to do and say in a crisis situation is important.
We need to support our Vincentian brothers and sisters when they are going through difficult and traumatic life events. We must be there for each other. Of course, our counselors have an important role to play in this regard, but fundamentally, every single citizen could provide a shoulder to lean on, a listening ear, and a hand to hold. As I say this, I think of all the people in Haiti and other countries who suffered and perished in the winds and rains of Hurricane Matthew. I pray for the healing of any mental wounds that exist among those that are alive and remain. To be effective in these circumstances, we have to learn the basic principles of psychological first aid, just like we would have to learn the principles of ordinary CPR. This would help us to provide support to people who are very distressed.
The health minister says his administration is looking to enhance legislation to protect the rights of persons with mental health issues.
Renovations cost over $4 million and were done as a part and parcel of my ministry's modernization trust. It is important for us to note that there is a distinction between a mental home, as it is popularly called, and a mental or psychiatric hospital. This facility is meant to be the site of temporary treatment and care in a manner somewhat akin to the treatment provided at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, so that patients could be allowed to return to enjoy their home community environment in the shortest possible time. It is not a residence. We are working hard to ensure that we have all the healthcare personnel required to optimally address the needs of persons with mental health problems, and we will enact updated legislation that protects the human rights and dignity of these vulnerable citizens.
And this year, World Sight Day will be held under the theme Stronger Together on October 13th. World Sight Day is an annual day of awareness held on the second Thursday of October each year to focus global attention on blindness and vision impairment. Speaking on Let's Talk Health, a program run by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment and designed to look at different aspects of health, ophthalmologist Dr. Early Adams said this year's main focus is on diabetes, which can immensely affect a person's vision.
We are looking for everybody to work along with the patient. Of course, the patient put in their input in order to attain eye health, okay, its preservation and excellence as you know as we would have it. This year we are hoping to focus a bit on diabetes.
Why diabetes?
Well, diabetes is one of the chronic non-communicable disease that we have in children. So that is playing a significant role in the deterioration of eye health. We have lots of conditions that results from this disease, and fortunately it's a disease that can be prevented, or the consequences can be prevented. So even though you have diabetes, it doesn't mean that you have to suffer the consequences of diabetes.
Dr. Adams said the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment will host an event at the Methodist Church Hall in Kingstown to give critical tips and information about how persons can protect their eyes.
The idea of this activity is to reach out to the public. Okay, so everyone is invited to come by. We try and find the best time so that persons can maybe run away in their lunch hour, and persons who have other things to do. Generally, there's a period where you have a little bit more free time, so you can come by and get a little bit of information. We'll be having presentation from different specialists, and like I mentioned before, we'll be having the general surgeons, we'll be having person from medicine, we'll be having pediatricians, we'll be having person from the nutrition unit, and we'll be having different ophthalmologists, which is eye specialists, giving presentation at the event.
Efforts are being made to quickly restore the St. George's Cathedral, and persons are urged to get on board with the drive. At a media conference today to launch activities to raise funds for the restoration effort, Dr. Leopold Friday said the 196-year-old cathedral has not had any major repairs over the last 25 years. He said, having done several assessments of the repair work to be done, it has been agreed upon to seek professional assistance from a group of professionals called the Atlantic Heritage Foundation, who specializes in the restoration of historic buildings. According to Dr. Friday, considering the cathedral's current state, it is obvious that it is in dire need of such repair work.
With the passage of time, termites have infested the cathedral to the extent that key areas of the church are deemed unusable and dangerous to the congregation. The entire cathedral, therefore, has to be restored. The major goal is to restore the cathedral to its original state as far as possible. The general understanding is that in conservation, we examine the present materials and seek to reuse those which are in a healthy condition. The original timber, once it is in good condition, will have a longer lifespan than timber produced today, even though it has been there for over 196 years.
Chairperson of the fundraising committee, Renee Batiste, said the church will be hosting a gospel concert on the 6th of November at the Rustlers Auditorium at Stony Grounds as part of the fundraising efforts.
The tickets are $40. We have printed, I think, maybe about 600 tickets. Now, it will sound like a lot of money that we're going to raise. But of course, you always, when you have a fundraising venture, you do still have expenses if even services are given pro bono or the venue is pro bono. You will get pro bono services, but we will still have some expenses. So I'm urging members of the Anglican Communion and friends of the Anglican Communion to help us in this, our first venture. As the Lord Bishop has indicated, when the cathedral was in its heyday, it was the preferred venue for concerts and everything of that nature, and for national events and state events were held at the St. George's Cathedral. There's much work to be done, and just to give you a very brief outline, you would notice the tower. The flagpoles have to be replaced. The clocks have to be replaced. Some preliminary investigations have indicated that we may be able to get the clocks replaced and have them working on a computerized system.
The estimated cost of repairs, according to Archbishop Friday, is just over 200,000 EC dollars. The police are currently investigating the shooting death of Errol Sutton, a 74-year-old resident of Georgetown. Reports indicate that the deceased had an altercation with another person while visiting the Stubbs area and received chop wounds. After receiving medical attention at the Stubbs Polyclinic, Sutton was on his way to lodge a report at the Stubbs police station when he was accosted by two individuals and shot before he could reach his destination. His death brings the number of homicides for the year thus far to 23. Last Friday, a 10-month baby boy died at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital after he, along with his mother and father, was shot at their home in the Glen area. Two persons are said to be assisting the police with their investigation into that matter. The High Court today cleared Colin David of all charges of armed robbery, which occurred on June 13, 2013 at the General Post Office in Capital Kingstown. Speaking on behalf of David, lawyer and Vice President of the Human Rights Association, Israel Bruce, said that a petition was made last Friday that the quality of evidence was insufficient, and the jury agreed and has ruled in their favor.
And the quality of the identification evidence was poor. We invited the court to agree with us that that evidence, in terms of the quality of the evidence, was so tenuous, was so poor, was so slender, and it was not corroborated at all, that it would not be correct to proceed to have the jury, that is, make a decision on the matter, and on a matter of law, because it was an issue of law that the judge ought to make a determination. And that was, the submissions were made on Friday, and of course this morning the judge ruled with the defense that indeed and in fact that the quality of the evidence was such that, and the matter was withdrawn from the jury, and a verdict of not guilty was entered officially by the jury for Mr. David.
The attorney said David expressed sadness that a police officer was shot and a postal worker was severely affected by the incident. However, he expressed elation that the legal system has proven to be effective and hoped that the perpetrator would be brought to justice.
Indeed and in fact that he was in Grenada at the time of the unfortunate offense. Mr. David has expressed to me his own concern about what has happened to Officer Jack and Miss Wilson, both victims in the incident. And of course, we would want the perpetrator of the robbery and the attempted murder on the life of Officer Jack to be brought to justice. We are very clear about that. It is a very horrible sort of event, and it is not something which neither of us support. But just that he is happy that his name is cleared because he was not involved. And we're happy that indeed and in fact that the justice system is still working. We can see that persons could still rely on our judicial system, on our judicial officers, the members of the bench to take the evidence of matters coming before the court for what they're worth.
The curtains came down on the 12th KCCU National Dance Festival on Saturday night, October 7th, with a final showcase and the awards ceremony taking place at the Peace Memorial Hall. The competition was held under the theme, Let's Dance. Chelsea Jackson has more on the finale in this report.
After 4 weeks of a keenly contested competition, the 12th annual KCCU National Dance Festival came to a close on Saturday night with an award ceremony where persons were awarded in various categories. Chief Judge of the festival, Jennifer Seeley, a retired Barbadian educator and founder and artistic director of Dance in Africa, expressed pleasure at having the opportunity to judge the competition and highlighted that St. Vincent and the Grenadines should keep doing what it has been doing to keep traditional dance alive.
You are very, very blessed. This is the first time I've seen the punter, and I thought that was excellent. There were lots of firsts for me. It is a wonderful thing when you have groups that can embrace all of the genres. Back home, there are a few who embrace all of the genres. Back home, our social dances are mostly done by our ballroom and Latin groups. So it is a pleasure to come here and to see regular dance troupes taking on all of these genres and doing them exceptionally well. Congratulations to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The award for Most Outstanding Primary School went to the St. Mary's Roman Catholic School. Most Outstanding Community Group in the junior category went to La Gracia Dance Company, and the Most Outstanding Community Group in the senior category went to the Arabesque Dance Company. Individual awards were also handed out to a number of persons from the various groups, ranging from most expressive dancer to the most versatile. Here is a highlight of some of the winning performances. Reporting for SVG-TV Evening News, I am Chelsea Jackson.
18 secondary schools are set to compete in the 2016 Lions Club South Public Speaking Competition, which kicked off today at French's House. Speaking at a media launch yesterday, Chairperson Junior Bacchus announced that the winning school will receive a $3,000 project funded by telecommunications giant Flow. He noted that having 18 schools in the competition is an exceptional showing. Noting that the competition is off to a late start this year, Bacchus said the first two zones will present on their topic at the French's House in Kingstown.
The two zones tomorrow, we will begin with Zone 1 at 1 o'clock. And we will be hearing from the St. Vincent Girls High School, the Bishop's College Kingstown, Dr. J.P. Eustace Memorial, and the Union Island Secondary School. Those are the four schools that have confirmed participation in Zone 1. and they will be speaking on this topic. Let me just quote the topic here. The response to the proliferation of mosquito-borne illnesses should not be confined to public policy, as this impacts the country's productivity. Following that zone's presentation on this topic, those 4 schools will then go straight into the second zone, which will be the St. Vincent Grammar School, the Beckway Community High School, the Beckway Seventh-day Adventist Secondary School, and the West St. George Secondary School.
Meantime, President of the Lions Club South, Dr. Jose Davies, says the competition is a vital part of the participants' academic and professional development. And Flow's country manager Wayne Hull expressed his company's gratitude to be contributing to the competition in a major way.
Notified the public. Because importantly, I think that the public speaking competition is also a form of adding some benefit to the general public, to help them lift their game as they comment and make their assessments on various social issues. I think from my view of the competition for the last couple of years, I think this would help people to channel their ideas and comment in a proper format and sort of take us.
In an attempt to get the women of St. Vincent and the Grenadines motivated to be more self-dependent, Trinidadian entrepreneur Pamela DeMattis will host a series of training courses here designed to teach women to sew curtains and make drapes. DeMattis said they are still in the process of finding a convenient place to host the training sessions. And you will get more on those training sessions in subsequent newscasts.